The world will always need heroes. We just need to reassemble.
The Avengers game is one I've been following since its announcement trailer back in 2017. And after 2 years of literally no news whatsoever, in E3 2019 it finally saw the light of day. We were introduced to our 5 classic Avengers heroes, as well as a newer member that would have its debut as the 6th playable character. Now, I've been very critical of the game. I thought the trailers looked fine at best. The gameplay felt very monotonous and repetitive for me, almost like a Destiny type of game. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of Destiny, but I decided to try out the beta and decide for myself rather than trusting the marketing itself. My goal with this beta was to analyze the game and make the final call. Should I pre-order it or not? So in this video, I'll divide my analysis in 5 parts. First, I'll talk about the missions, whether they are campaign related or not. Next part, it's going to be the gameplay, where I'll dive into my experience with every single playable hero, as well as their respective upgrade and gear system. Then, I'll focus on the extra content in the game, more specifically the skins, collectibles and other stuff that is included in the beta. And finally, I'll give you my final thoughts on the experience with the game, and if I'll get it or not. So without further ado, let's dive into our first section, and that is the missions.
Do the Avengers pose a danger to society? That was the question, Bruce. That was the question.
Did you even check the science?
It was a heist, Bruce.
No.
The beta features 4 types of missions. You have the story-related ones, the harm, drop zones, and war zone. There's 3 campaign missions. One is the famous A-Day segment, that you've seen in most of the marketing of the game. The other 2 revolve heavily around Kamala and Bruce. One of them even includes a boss fight against one of the Hulk's biggest villains. Although these missions didn't go deep into the narrative, it gives us a feel of what to expect. I sense that the game will revolve around Kamala, as she looks to be the driving force that unites our heroes after the tragic event that was A-Day. I was also very fond of her relationship with Bruce, as it almost felt like a father-daughter bond. Maybe this is because Bruce is played by Troy Baker and Troy played Joel, but who knows. The third mission was by far the worst one. It felt generic and tedious, but I want to believe this was just one of those filler missions you will have to go through when you play the entire game. Regarding the harm missions, these serve as almost a training ground. It's basically a simulator where you'll have to fight out waves and waves of enemies. I mostly use these missions to test out new heroes or even new upgrades that those said heroes received. We then have the drop zone missions. These ones have different subcategories within them. It can range from a domination type of mission to a simple target mission. Finally, we have the war zone missions, which are larger in scale with number of objectives such as enemy to defeat, enemy depots to take over, faction allies to rescue, some even have an actual boss to fight. These 2 last type of missions are very much in line with what Destiny had. If you play Destiny, you know what you're getting into. I found them very fun, and playing with friends will certainly boost the enjoyment you take out of them. I felt that these type of levels, hero rotation is key to keep your enjoyment up, which leads me into my next point, which is
Not worthy.
like I've mentioned, the first thing you play during the beta is the A-Day mission. You've got to try out the full Avengers team, although Captain America and Thor are not usable after this mission. The game functions as your typical looter game. You have a quick attack, a heavy attack, 2 abilities and 1 special attack, which basically functions as your ultimate, and in some cases it can be shared with the rest of the team, like Iron Man's Hulkbuster. I felt each character had its own unique aspects. Iron Man is more of a range character, while Hulk is more of a melee type of character per se. This allows you for an interesting rotation and it keeps the game fun and not repetitive. The standouts to me were definitely Kamala and Captain America, while the one that fell flat for me was Hulk. I was hoping for something less generic than a big monster, but I also understand that it's hard to bring his character into gaming without having a few step backs. There's also a skill tree to each character, and you can unlock new attacks or just improve previous attacks. You also have this gear option where it will increase your power level. Now, I didn't feel any difference gameplay wise, other than increasing the difficulty of the missions themselves, so I guess this gear system is only a gatekeep for you to improve your character. I also heard that the gear you equip is shown in your cosmetic, but I'm sad to report that's not the case, at least with the beta itself. Which leads me into my next point of discussion, and that is...
I always am. Just not so sure about Tony.
Hey, not true.
Regarding extra content, there's a few things included in the beta. The most obvious one is the skins. While not all are present, there's enough to give you a feel of what to expect regarding visuals or rarity. There's also a comic book section included, which is basically a collectible. You collect them as you go through the missions, but fair warning, you can actually read the comics. Finally, there's a new thing called Challenge Card, which is basically a battle pass for each character. Every time you go up a level with said character, you get an item, whether it's a skin, in-game currency, or an emote. There's 40 tiers of awesome content. This sounds cool, right? But how easy can it be to obtain these cosmetics? Well, I'm happy to report it's fairly easy to obtain in-game money. I aimed at getting a legendary skin for Hulk, and after just a few hours of playing some missions, I was able to obtain it. It seems they were really serious when they said the microtransactions were not needed. Now, with all this in mind, what did I think of the beta? Was it enough to put me in the hype mode, or will it break the bad news to Amazon and cancel my pre-order?
Not so fast!
Marvel Avengers isn't a perfect game. It needs to be more polished, some of the controls are clunky, and its limited variety of missions could become a problem in the long haul. After I beat the beta, I couldn't tell if it was more focused on being this narrative-driven adventure or a full-on Wooter reskin with Marvel characters. So I don't know if either side of the coin is going to be happy about it. All I know is that I had fun, and that's what counts at the end of the day, isn't it? I play games for pure enjoyment, and if I feel the game is keeping me entertained and engaged, then it has accomplished its main goal. Whether you play with friends or not, I highly advise playing with friends though. There's something for everybody, and with the constant support the game is having, whether it's new missions, new cosmetics, or even new characters, I think this game is going to be alive for a while. So yeah, I'm keeping my pre-order, and I can officially say I'm on board the Avengers hype train.